Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/PettyRevenge. In today's episode, drank a beer so I wouldn't be forced to babysit for my aunt. I convinced a girl to pluck out her eyelashes. Forget to include me in the birthday celebrations? That's fine, let's see what I forget. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Drank a beer so I wouldn't be forced to babysit for my aunt. My aunt, now 40, have 3 kids under the age of 10. At every family gathering I, 23M, become the de facto babysitter despite me not wanting to so the adults can drink. It was her birthday dinner yesterday and my mom promised me that I wouldn't have to babysit and that the kids would be at a friend's house. The first step I take into their home is greeted by 2 ear-splitting screams about how much the kids missed me and 1 toddlery joddling. I immediately realize I might have been lied to. Normally I don't drink, huge lightweight, but since this was a special occasion I had made some plans. So my aunt enters the hall to greet my mom while I reach into my backpack and walk into the living room and crack one out of 2 12% Viking beer I special ordered for me and my uncle. He likes weird beer, and we start drinking. About 3 minutes later my aunt sees the can and starts screaming at me for drinking while watching the kids. I only hear distant screaming. I repeat my mom's promise and she calls me the R word when they are clearly staying here. So I reach out my hand and say $200 for emergency babysitting and I want finish this beer. She says no, so I chug the half-liter can to the loud cheers and laughs from my dad and uncle. When I'm done I say birth happy day mommy sister with a burp, with my mom just looking hugely embarrassed for my aunt. My designated driver dad ends up watching them the entire night instead. I think he might schedule a vasectomy soon. I've been drinking. My go-to reason why I can't come in on my day off. Boss once asked me, "You started drinking at 7 a.m.? Nope, still going from last night. See ya Monday." I've had my manager call me with an emergency on a Saturday afternoon. When I picked up, he immediately asked, "Are you sober?" He was a great manager, so fortunately, there wasn't any drama. Good for you. I had a different kind of petty. I told people that I would tell their kids their parents said they could get a puppy if they made me watch them. Only took once of them calling my bluff. Then they found out I wasn't bluffing. We had spent 3 hours looking for a puppy to adopt from local rescues. They then got to be the bad guy and say no puppy and deal with the hysterics and fallout. Never pushed me to do it again. Reminds me of the sign unattended children will be given a shot of espresso and a puppy. That's so awesome. It's hugely unfair and manipulative and irresponsible to expect/use family like your personal servants. I'm so proud and happy you did this. I'm glad your dad and uncle stuck with you. Your mom and aunt need to check themselves seriously. Just because you have kids doesn't make you smart or special. You got knocked up and now expect other people to respect you and bend down to their will because kids. Just cause they got cream pie doesn't mean they're special. When I was in the US Army, I learned to open a beer as soon as I returned from work so they couldn't call me back in. Half the time I only took 1 sip, but I could honestly say I'd been drinking. I always used to use that as an excuse for an old job when they try to call me in. It was almost always for an afternoon shift. Boss called me at 7 a.m. and I answered cheerily. He said, "Oh, you sound happy, I'm glad you're awake, we need you to come in this morning, and I know you haven't been drinking already." He got so pissed when I said that I in fact had been drinking and wouldn't back down. Eventually just told him to assume if I'm not at work I'm drunk and can't drive. I don't ever drink alcohol. Forced to babysit for 3 hours? Well, that's just enough time to watch Frozen twice. Be prepared to hear Let It Go every day for the next month. This is the solution: no unhappy kids. Only unhappy parents. I didn't realize it was possible to watch kids without drinking. I love how she wants you to do something for her and screams at you, an adult, as though that will convince you. LOL. My mom used to care for my nephew from the time he was born until he was in school, absolutely free of charge. When he was about 4, my mom called me saying she felt very ill. Could I come get nephew? At the time I was running my own business from home. If I didn't work, I didn't make money. I didn't have benefits because I was self-employed. Sister-in-law had full-time job with sick pay and personal days. I explained to my mom I was working, and that since I would lose money, and was not the parent, she should call sister-in-law instead. Mom said, but she's at work. I'm like, yes, and she gets paid if she leaves to take care of her son. I don't get paid if I don't work. She declined to call brother or SAL and suffered through while sick, and I was somehow the bad guy. I convinced a girl to pluck out her eyelashes. There was girl in high school that was not nice to me. Somewhat mean, even. One day she came up to me and asked if Amy was my sister. I said, yes, why? She went on and on about how beautiful her long, lush eyelashes were. And it was true, my sister was blessed with gorgeous lashes and pretty green eyes, and this was all before fake lashes was a normal thing for everyday girls to have. She asked me how she managed to have lashes like that. I said, you know how they always say that if you shave your legs the hair will grow back thicker and longer? Well, she just plucked them all out and they grew back like that. Thick, long, and lush. This girl went the rest of the school year without eyelashes. I had no guilt. I like what you did. I don't think it's funny to make puns about lashless pupils. I see what you did there. That had to hurt. Gotta give her props on commitment though, going the rest of the school year without any lashes. Yeah, plucking an eyelash hurts like hell. I wouldn't be brave enough to do more than one. Source, plucked one that has decided to grow towards my eye and wouldn't budge. They take a while to grow back, and the rest of the school year could have just been a month or so. I am absolutely certain that Noon, who has seen their face in the mirror without lashes, would continue to pluck them after that. A neighbor girl got revenge on my mom like this, except she was told to cut them, so she had weird spikes from trying to cut with straight scissors. Good job. I punish you with no lashes. Forget to include me in the birthday celebrations? That's fine, let's see what I forget. So this takes place over the course of me from when I was 28 to 30. I was working my way through graduate school and then looking for a teaching job right after. I worked graveyard shift at a convenience store. It wasn't fun, no breaks and no pay differential, but it paid the bills. The problem was the birthday celebrations. They would get cake whenever it was someone's birthday and they would forget to tell me, and the other guy who worked overnights didn't seem to bother him as he didn't really care for anyone there besides me and the store manager, but I did it take personally since they would have the birthday celebrations during second shift a few hours before I got there and never invite me nor even save me a piece of cake. They would, however, leave the mess for me to clean up and sometimes would be too busy enjoying the cake and chatting to do their work, so they would rely on me to do the things that were needed for the next day that they were supposed to do, but the day shift people needed done to do their jobs. These were things like baking the rolls for the subs and baking and packing things like mini bread loaves and muffins. I would usually just shrug it off and clean and pick up the slack to be a good team player. Everyone in the store, including the manager, forgot about my 29th birthday, save my coworker from the overnight shift. I mentioned to the store manager how much it bothered me that I didn't even get a card or a verbal happy birthday. I had to work on my birthday, bear in mind, and she reassured me they would remember me the next year for my 30th. Another year goes by of cleaning up cake crumbs and throwing out the cups and plates and no one saving me a piece, and my 30th comes and goes and no one remembers again save my overnight coworker who gives me card and a little cupcake from the local bakery. I was smart and took off that year, but had dropped in at his request so he could tell me happy birthday, and he gave me the card and cupcake as a surprise. He could tell, however, that I was disappointed that once again everyone else forgot, so he told me to not think about it now since it was my birthday and to enjoy myself, but to remember it the next time they had a birthday celebration and forgot to invite me. I only had to wait a few weeks and they forgot to invite me. They also once again forgot to finish baking the rolls for subs. I came into the mess in the second shift once again, leaving cups and plates and the empty cake pan as well as the empty pizza boxes, yes pizza as well this time, next to the coffee pots. As they were leaving, one of them mentioned how they had not done any of the rolls so I could do that. I casually mentioned that I had a lot to do that night and would get to it when I can. He was floored and said they had to get it done or we wouldn't have rolls the next day. I just shrugged and said I had a lot to do since it was Friday and we were always busy that night and had taught all day and was tired from grading papers and doing my lesson planning after school, so I would get to it if I can, and if not, the day shift could do it. My amazing coworker grinned at me and waited till the others had left and asked me if I felt like I was going to have time to clean up their mess and do their work, and I just smiled and said, no. I did my job and left the trash from their party where it was. When the morning shift came in, they had been at the birthday celebration as well, and they were horrified that the mess was still there and there were no rolls baked. I apologized and explained that the second shift must have been busy after the birthday celebration and didn't have a chance to clean up or bake the rolls, so I guess they would have to do it, but hey, I was sure they enjoyed the cake and pizza and it was a shame that they never left any for me. I and my coworker clocked out and the one woman was losing her mind, begging us to at least stay an hour or two and watch deli or the register so they could get this done. Now bear in mind there were 3 who were already clocked in and 2 more about to clock in, so that means there would be 5 people, so they can have 2 go on register and 2 go on deli while 1 gets the rolls baked, so they would be fine until the manager comes in. She started her shift 2 hours after this. While I go home and take a shower and I am relaxing and trying to sleep when the store manager calls me up frantic saying she has come in and that my 2 coworkers that I spoke to before leaving are saying how I left the place a mess and refused to help the second shift finish baking the rolls. I told her I was going to sleep now and if she wanted I would come in an hour early and explain what happened. She said she would meet me at the store. So I came in an hour early and she was still there, and my 1 second shift coworker whom had asked me to bake the rolls was there giving me dirty looks. She asked me to come into the office and demanded to know why I had not helped out last night. I calmly explained what happened and reminded her that this had happened before. I was not invited to the birthday celebrations, how they had forgotten my birthday again, and how I had a lot to do since I was running deli by myself at night, and if they were going to have birthday celebrations on the clock they could stay a little late to finish their work and clean up their mess, especially if they weren't going to be thoughtful enough to save me a piece of cake or slice of pizza. She told me that corporate had come in that day, I didn't know, and how they could have gotten in trouble because the place was a mess. The rest of the place had been cleaned. I only didn't clean the mess my coffee pots where they left their pizza boxes and other party garbage, and there may not have had rolls for the subs. I asked her if she wanted me to call corporate and explain why second shift had not been able to complete their work the night before and how I was the only employee whose birthday got overlooked, who was never invited to the birthday celebrations, but how I was expected to clean up after them each time. She muttered something about remembering me next year and I told her I didn't care anymore. If wasn't invited, I was not cleaning up or finishing their job, and if they couldn't handle having a slice of cake and finishing their work that was on them. At our next meeting she announced that unless people would stay to clean up after the birthday cake celebrations we couldn't have it anymore. People said they would, but when the next celebration occurred, and once again they forgot to invite me, I came and saw the place was a mess and the rolls were not baked. One of my second shift coworkers begged me to do the rolls because she was going out with her boyfriend and I said no. They left a mess again and I took a picture and sent it the store manager via text and told her I was not cleaning it up. The next week she informed everyone that since no one cleaned up after the most recent birthday celebration, there would be no more since we had to stay on top of our work, but we would have everyone sign a card when it was someone's birthday. I quit before my next one and I am so glad because $10 says they would have forgotten to give me a card. This story is just another reason I am so glad I work remotely and don't have to deal with that BS. Update: I thank you all for the upvotes and comments, and some of you have asked me about why I no longer work there and what happened after, etc. I quit without proper notice, 2-week notice. Basically, there were a few issues about this place. In addition to second shift dumping their work on me, I didn't get the raise and promotion I was promised by the store manager after several months of doing the work that goes with it. She claimed she had sent my paperwork to corporate. Here comes a plot twist you may not believe. My dad knew the owner of this company. Dad's retired now. It's a decent-sized chain of convenience stores here in my state, which is why I withheld the name. This company at the time was one of my dad's company's clients. Dad worked for a snack food company, so he had played golf with the owner. Before some of you ask, why didn't you just work for your dad? He had offered to help me get a job where he was working, but I really wanted to get a teaching position and also not have Daddy help me out. And yes, my store manager knew at least a few months before I quit who my father was and how he was connected to the company. I mentioned one day about the pretzels we sold being one of his products, and they asked me to explain. Also, he had nothing to do with me getting that job. Well, here comes a part where I was a little petty again. I called corporate and dropped my dad's name as well as the owner's name and explained I wanted to see what was going on with my paperwork for the promotion. I was told that they never got any paperwork from my store manager, nor had she advised she was promoting anyone this quarter. I asked them to double check and they confirmed it and told me it only takes a couple of days for it to go through, not weeks or months. I did stop by another quick check store that my friend worked at, and she asked her store manager if that was true, and she confirmed it only takes days for it go through. When I confronted the store manager about it, she kept trying to say he would be put me in. I told her to transfer me to a different store, one that was closer, and she tried to lie and say that store wasn't looking, and I went to the store in person, introduced myself to the store manager, and they confirmed they were in fact looking as they were a newly opened store. She told me in order to get transferred, all I had to do was ask my store manager and she can change it in the system. I then went back to my store manager and once again requested she have me transfer and advised it was closer to me and that I was very disappointed she never gave me the promotion/raise I was promised since I was doing all the work that came with it. She then tried to tell me that district manager was coming in for a visit that week and I could speak to her about the promotion or transfer. The district manager was her sister, by the way. I told her I was not interested in talking to her or her sister and explained I spoke to corporate, learned she never put my paperwork in. She tried to tell me she was sorry and that she wasn't good with technology and I can speak with her sister so they make sure that I get my paperwork in this week. I advised her I was not interested and to find someone else to cover my shift as I no longer wanted to work there. She asked if I could at least come in that night as it was now 7 p.m. and she only had 3 hours to find someone to cover for me and I said no. I got texts and calls from the store started at about 10 p.m. from the people who were there working asking where I was, and I just said to ask the store manager because I no longer worked there. One of the people that called me was the same girl who had begged me to do her work that night because she was going out with her boyfriend. I said they better find someone to cover my shift and it was not my problem anymore. I did text an apology to my amazing coworker because I felt like I was leaving him in the lurch and he just texted back something like, "You are my hero." I had some of you ask me if he had a crush on me. I would say no. He was older and I think was just there to supplement his retirement. He had kids my age and older, which is why he was so chill. He knew they needed overnight workers and he didn't the full paycheck. I think he just liked working with me and respected what a hard worker I was. He even told me that himself once, and later when I came to visit him after quitting he told me he was proud of me for standing up for myself. I told him later the whole story about not getting the promotion, raise, etc., and he respected me for doing what I felt was right. Overall, I have no regrets about quitting that place. While the company as a whole isn't bad to work for, which is why I won't name them, that store was terrible. I later learned the store manager was pressured into retiring when her sister got transferred to another district and that store greatly improved after she left. I love the pettiness. I'm sorry they forgot your birthday. Let me wish you a happy birthday and hope that, since then, all your birthdays were celebrated with cake and pizza. Thank you. After 30 each birthday got better and better. I hate office-mandated birthdays, but the idea that you'd not invite someone and have them pick up your slack is ghastly. The only thing sweeter would have been if you had bought a cake on your last day for you and your night shift coworker and left the mess for the day crew to clean. Op sure is more generous than me, lol. The first time this happened, I would have reported them to the manager and left it alone. After all, it's not my job and I had no part in the mess. Since I was a kid, I always hated cleaning up other people's messes. Jobs are the source of income, as I like to say. If you're not going to get paid to work extra, don't work. Op is my hero. What a bunch of assholes. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.